Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to channel today. Just thought I'd let you know I'm going to do a 3-part series on putting roughly 10 accessories on this Royal Enfield Classic 350 Reborn. And rather than stretch them out into one clip because it's fairly involved, I'm going to swing it over 3 clips and then break it down to probably 10 to 15 minute sections, something like that, plus a little bit of a talk on a couple of the accessories at the very end. So what we're going to cover is where I purchased it from, any issues, what the vendors would like to deal with, the fitting of the accessories, did I strike any problems or make any mistakes doing it, or anything else I can tell you like that. Plus I do know for a fact I've started fitting some of the accessories now, and when you look back there are tips on here for sure where could have helped someone, and especially if I would have bumped across it in the first place and I would have been aware of it and saved a few issues in the first place. So I think it'll be well worth your trouble tuning in and having a look. And in the end I'll let you know which of the, out of the 10, which 3 I'd prefer to keep, or which I think are my favourite ones, plus a couple of other things in there too, so I think it'll be fairly enjoyable for you to watch. So we won't bore you anymore with this one, we'll get right into it and go from there. So once again, thanks for tuning in, take a look, and I'll catch up with you at a later date. Okay guys, let's get into it. The first one's going to be the mirrors. So the factory mirrors on these are, you know, I got really no complaints about them, but when I first decided to throw a few accessories on it, I thought the touring mirrors looked a lot smarter. When I first bought my touring mirrors, they were $169 delivered to Australia, including free delivery. But now vendors have all gone up in their price and everything, and I think now they're at $205. It's worth nothing for me to tell you, so I'm just telling you out of my own good who I've dealt with, who I've had no issues with, and it's up to you if you want to follow through and deal with those guys, or just see if you can find one after that, you know, a few dollars cheaper to save your money. But sometimes when you're dealing with these vendors overseas, you don't know whether you're going to buy 1 or 2, so you always better make sure that when you deal with any of them, you ask them how many you're getting, because a couple of times I bought stuff and I thought I was getting a pair, and actually they just sell you one. Royal Enfield aren't really known as having good alloy on their mounting system for mirrors, so what I would say would be take it careful and don't abuse them, because sometimes they've got a habit of, on these bikes, when they assemble at the factory, they put the mirrors in crooked, you come along, put the next lot of mirrors on, then you find out they won't screw in properly. But I'm just letting you know, especially when you're fitting mirrors to these bikes, be careful, because you can cross-thread it real easy, and after that you've got a bit of a problem. And left mirror first, so we've got a nut here which has to be undone. It's a 14mm. So once you loosen that off, which I already have, and it's a bit hard to hold the camera and get everything working that way. So we've got that off. Now the mirror comes off anti-clockwise. And you can see when they come out, they don't come out real crash hot. I can see metal filings or alloy filings already on that one where it come out, so that's what I mean. You've got to take it careful on these, or you can damage them quite easy. Okay, we're ready to knock out the right hand mirror now, so once again you pull the sleeve up out of the way, 14mm here on the release nut. Now this time when you do it, the right hand mirror comes off clockwise, and out of those two, the right one came off a lot better than the left. So I've got the Royal Enfield factory touring mirrors fitted now. Now if you have a look at them, I think they're a lot better looking than the standard jobs. They even look classier, there's no risk about that. Plus, over here, you just do that hex there, and you can adjust it up higher, lower, and naturally at the end of your mirrors here, you can move them out to your left or right. Now if you happen to wonder, do they work any better than the factory ones? They appear to be clearer to look out of, but as far as things go, I wouldn't say at this stage. I haven't really went into doing a lot of adjustments on it, but at this stage I would say they're a bit better than the factory, but they're not a huge improvement because they don't go out quite as far. Because I'm pretty sure when I had the C5s, these classic 350 Reborn, the mirror mounting points on the inside towards the tank, and I'm pretty sure on the old C5s it used to be out here and bring it out a little bit further. So it's lost a little bit there. But as far as, if you say, for visuals, do they look really good and do they look quality? Well, I think for the money you're paying, like now $205, I still think you're getting good value for money there. So I do like the mirrors. My favourite mod, or one of the mods I really like, is the heel and toe shifter. So it's not a simple matter of just put it on the bike and undo the 10mm bolt there and away you go. It doesn't work like that. So here's how we go about doing it. First off, down here, this section here, totally remove that 12mm bolt. So that's your first step. Swing up here to the front part of the frame. On your left hand side you'll need a 17mm open end spanner. On this side here, 14mm. Totally undo that and remove the bolt. Now on the toe shifter we've got a 10mm one, so I've just about undone it now. Pulled her out. Now we'll try to remove it. And you'll see, even though I've undone this bolt here, there's still not enough play in it to be able to pull the shifter shaft out. So your next step is undo these two here. Totally removed it. Now you'll see there's a fair bit of drop on that part of the frame itself. So you can just press down. So there she is out of the way. Other than that you can't get down anyway, so it's just a matter of now slide the heel and toe in place. All I've got to do now is put a 12mm back in there, put the cross bolt through there on the 17 and 14, and everything's back together and everything's right. And this is the only way you can do it, because you can't go in there and do a shortcut because it's too hard to do, or you could damage something. Give you a link now to where you can buy this heel and toe shifter from. The best place I found, the guy I dealt with, he too was reliable. Cost $63 Australian, I think it was 63 to purchase it, and that included free postage. You have to be very careful when you buy these, because when I bought it, it was complete with the rubber pad here, where a couple of other vendors that were selling them, I made inquiries and all you were buying the bare bone heel toe shifter, and then I think it was around $8 or $9 or something to buy the rubber pad. So if you buy off this guy, it's complete. He seems all right to deal with, so I'd say give him a try. Now while we're on that heel and toe subject with this shifter, what I find, it's a really nice shifter to use with a heel and toe compared to a straight out toe shifter. I wouldn't really ride one of these bikes with a straight out toe shifter on. When I've been out here on occasions riding it with a direct toe, I just don't like it at all now compared to how much easier the heel toe shifter is to run along with, especially on this bike, because you've got naturally a manual clutch and it's not an auto clutch or anything like that, which could be a bit of a drama, not as good. In actual fact, the CT125's got the semi-auto clutch with a heel and toe, and I don't really like it at all. But seeing you've got a manual control over this with the clutch, it's a really good bike that rides with a heel and toe, and you can move it through the gears really quick in both directions. And I think a lot quicker than what you could do just with the toe shifter. So I reckon it's one of the best mods you could even put on this bike, where some may disagree, but you know, we're all got personal choices. And for me, I reckon this is a good way to go. Okay guys, next up is the fender rack. Now I really think it's a really good idea to have one of these on it, and they really look smart on the bike, but there is one thing you have to be really careful of, and it worked fine on the other bike, the Halcyon Grey, but didn't work too good on this one. So what happened was, naturally I decided, as usual, before I fit the rack, I'd put some 3M tape top and bottom, so it's foam, double-sided foam. But the only problem is, in my case, if you look here, I was a bit sloppy in the joining, and I'll take a couple of shots with my other camera and you can have a better look at it there. And a little bit of an exposed edge on this part here. So actually what happened when I fitted it to the mudguard, you'll probably, if you can't pick it up in this, I'll take a photo with the other camera, but you'll see a slight dent where the metal gouged into it when I tightened it down. That was a bit of a bummer, you could say, but the thing is, what you would be better off doing would be to buy some good quality 3M double-sided tape, similar to what GoPros are attached with on helmets and stuff like that. And that's what I used previously on some of the other bikes when I've put these racks on. I never had a trouble, but this time I used a cheap double-sided tape from Bunnings, and you sort of get what you pay for, and I got the results what I expected, and that was the dint in the mudguard, because there was not much padding on it when I tightened it down. It just couldn't handle it and then gouged into it. Well, that's one theory anyway. The other theory could have been I didn't place it on properly, and it was my fault anyway. So regardless, whatever way we look at it, the fact is it's there, no big deal. Actually, it suits this bike anyway, because, you know, it's battle green, so it's got the battle scar over the back guard. So we'll go from there, fit that to it. So we'll just have a look back here how it looks now. So there's your profile, and I'll do one once it's fitted. Pretty easy to fit too, because all you got to do is come into it. In my case, I drilled 2 6mm holes. You just nail the punch it in the area I wanted in the centre, then just drill down into it. Or to drill the holes, I always do this. I put a block of timber, I slide it up underneath here, like so, in the area I'm about to do the drill through. And you come down here. Naturally you wouldn't be able to see it through the hole, but the timber is sitting right directly below it there. So if you do push a little bit hard, you know, like, you can get out of it all right. But the best idea with these, if you buy a new drill bit and do it that way, you can only just drill them on low speed. It'll go through the metal, no trouble whatsoever, and you're not liable to be using a lot of pressure there, which could damage anything underneath, like a tyre or such. But apart from that, everything's good in that line, and it's a fairly easy mod to do, and you'll be pretty happy with the end result. It's just a matter now, get your bolt and push it down. Now just get underneath, put a screwdriver or Phillips head on top, and your ratchet at the bottom underneath, and tighten the nut, and all's good, and the rack's on, and I'll give you a look at it in a minute. If you're happy with this rack, a little bit of information. This one cost me about $63 from a eBay seller based in Australia. You can find the racks all a little bit cheaper, and you know, you might come across them there from $35 onwards up until $63, $65. But what you've got to have a look at and take into account is this: they make 3 different sizes in them, small, medium and large, and the one you're chasing is 11 inches or 11.3 I think it is by 5.9, so it's a large rack. So take into account that if you get there and you think you're getting a bargain because it's only $30, make sure you've got the correct size, because this one here, out of the ones I've used, is the ones that fits the best. Well, I think it looks the best and fits the best on that rear. You can get the smaller ones, and sometimes I've made the mistake myself on different Enfields. I put them on and went for the cheapest rack, and then realised when I got it, it was a small looking thing, sits on the back mudguard, doesn't fill it in properly, doesn't look that good, and you've virtually bought something you don't want. So another bit of a tip for you there: make sure you check the size of the rack before you buy it.